to the e-EDP session of new training structure. We have with us today Dr. S.K. Jaina. He needs no introduction. He is the Director of Training Department, and he will take you through the practical training, a tool for acquiring requisite skills. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sudhi, and welcome you all students to this online EDP, which we are conducting through our e-learning mode. And this content will be available anytime, anywhere basis. For the convenience of the students, we have designed this e-EDP in such a manner that, and simultaneously you can also start your 15 days physical mode EDP, which are being organized in our regional councils chapters and our CCGRT, COE and in other places. So before we start and come to this particular content, let me tell you that in any of the professional educational program, if you look at this, practical training is an integral part. Because whatever I often tell to students, that whatever the knowledge or the information you are getting today during your student life, when you will become the real professional in future, that time these laws what you are studying, it might have been changed, but the skills whatever you are obtaining through this practical training, it will be very useful to your life to become a successful professionals. So I see generally the students of our institute, most of the students they focus on their practical training to become a successful professionals, but at the same time I find some students that they don't take it seriously. But let me tell you that these skills what you are going to obtain through your long-term practical training, that you are going to do it in the companies as well as in the with the practicing company secretaries, it will be very useful in your professional endeavor in future. So let's start. What is the purpose of this practical training and what is the role of the institute for regulating this practical training for the CS students? And as I would like to tell you that this 15 days e-EDP is designed under the new training structure. As you know that this new training structure is being implemented practically from 3rd February 2020-21, because earlier also in 3rd February 2020 this new regulation CS regulations amended 2020 was notified, and in this regulation we gave you 6-month relaxation for the students. Those who had not started their practical training, they were given 6-month time to start their practical training. And after that, unfortunately this pandemic situation started, and during this COVID pandemic, we approached to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and getting it approved from the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So 6-month relaxation was given for its implementation of the new training structure, where the students were supposed to migrate compulsorily, switch over to the new training structure. And this 6 month has already completed from 2nd February 2020-21, and from 3rd February 2021 onwards, we are going to implement this new training structure, under which the students, after completing the executive program, they needs to undergo 1-month executive development program, which can be done simultaneously 15 days on classroom mode as well as 15 days on online mode. So this content today, whatever we are going to deliver or discuss, this is under your 15 days online EDP. So before coming to this content and all, let me tell you that if you look at the section 15A of the Companies Secretaries Act 1980, which talks about the function of the institute. Under the function of the institute, the subsection B, section 15A, empower the institute to regulate practical training of the students. The Directorate of Training, it discharges its functions in accordance with the Company Secretary Regulation 1982, as amended up to 3rd February 2020. The following chapters of the regulations which are applicable to regulate the practical training of the students. If you look at the regulation of 1982 of institute, and which has been amended up to 3rd February 2020 with the new regulation, implementation of the new regulation. Then this chapter 6A, which talks about the practical experience and training requirements, under the chapter 6A, regulation 46BA, 46BB, 46BC, 46BD, it talks about the practical experience and training which are mandatory for the students to become the member of the institute. And at the same time, the 46BE, which talks about the disciplinary actions in connection with the training, including the period of executive development program and the corporate leadership development program. So this is a new provision which has been added to the recent regulation, where the disciplinary mechanism has already been brought under the ambit of this practical training. So what I intend to say here, that sometimes we receive a request from the students, sir, please consider sympathetically certain aspects, but that time we are in a difficult position to consider sympathetically on the due to the reason that this is regulation based, and once it is implemented and written in the regulation, it will be very difficult to consider certain cases which are not under the purview of the guidelines, rules or the regulations. So now coming to the practical training is a tools for acquiring the requisite skills. So why this practical training is required? As I was talking to you, that if you look at the any professional courses of the country, maybe medical, engineering, then pharmacy or nursing courses, or chartered accountancy, company secretary, whatever may be the professional courses. If you look at this, practical training is an important component, because it gives us the real life experiences which help us to become a successful professional in future. So the primary focus of the institute is to provide the quality education and training to our students. And if you look at the mission of the institute or the ICSI, then it talks about to produce the high caliber professionals. So how to produce the high caliber professionals? So high caliber professionals are possible only when we are able to provide you a robust mechanism of academics and training for your grooming. So this practical training is one of the key area through which the quality of the newly inducted members depends. As I told you that whatever the knowledge you are getting out of our study materials during your executive program and the professional program, so that will help you definitely to grow in your life. In addition to that, you need to understand what are the laws you have learned from this course, how to implement in the real life situation. That will tell you that will help the practical training to provide you the real direction to implement all those laws in your real life situations when you will be a successful professional in future. The practical training provides real hands-on experience and also inculcates requisite professional skills among the students. So we'll discuss about what is professional skills and what are the objective of our practical trainings in subsequent slides. And further, the training plays a crucial role in a holistic development of a student, as it prepares him to face the potential challenges that he or she may witness in her professional career. So training always play a crucial role in your professional endeavor, so which has to be taken seriously whenever you are undergoing the practical training. And this practical training, 21 months, which you are going to do after this completion of this 30 days EDP program, which will determine, and it is very crucial for your life to become a successful professional. Let me tell you that in the institute, every year we are almost adding 4,000 to 5,000 members, but out of these 4,000 to 5,000 members, only few members are becoming the successful professionals. The reason that they are very serious from the very beginning, and from the day one they focus on their academics, they focus on their training, so that which help them to be a real and true professionals and help them to grow in their life. So this practical training is always very crucial in your professional career. We have whenever we talk about the training, you'll find there are two kinds of training. There are certain trainings which are organized by the institute itself. So these training are very short term in nature, maybe sometimes it is 15 days, sometimes it may be 30 days. And then at the end also, after completing your practical training, finally earlier we used to do that MSOP program, which was for 15 days. Now under the new training structure, it has been revised to the 30 to 60 days residential training program, which has been implemented and notified through the regulations. So these kind of training programs are called the short-term training program, which are organized in the institute itself, maybe at the headquarters, maybe at our regional council or the chapters. In addition to that, we have a long-term practical training, which is for 21 months, maybe at the notified. It has been, and also, so these to grow in their life. So this practical training is always very crucial in your professional career. We have whenever we talk about the training, you'll find there are two kinds of training. There are certain trainings which are organized by the institute itself. So these training are very short term in nature, maybe sometimes it is 15 days, sometimes it may be 30 days. And then at the end also, after completing your practical training, finally earlier we used to do that MSOP program, which was for 15 days. Now under the new training structure, it has been revised to the 30 to 60 days residential training program, which has been implemented and notified through the regulations. So these kind of training programs are called the short term training program, which are organized in the institute itself, maybe at the headquarters, maybe at our regional council or the chapters. In addition to that, we have a long term practical training, which is for 21 months that you need to start after completion of this EDP with different companies, corporates, and the other body corporates, as well as in the with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, ROC offices, and also with the practicing company secretaries firm. So we have two kinds of training programs, short term training program and long term training program. Long term, as I defined you, that 21 months practical training that you will do with the companies and PCS. But short term training program includes this EDP, then your corporate leadership development program, which will be organized by the institute itself. So after acquiring the membership, they can adjust in a company and adapt to a corporate culture in order to sustain in the corporate world. This is one of the benefit or one of the objective, you can say, for the practical training, where generally the students, if they perform better in the companies or the corporates, they are generally absorbed in the companies, and we have seen many of our trainees, those who undergo trainees in the top corporates, I'm not naming here, but the top corporates, and if their performance is better during the training period, they are absorbed in the company and they get job. So this creates an opportunity. It's open an window of opportunity for our trainees to get absorbed or employment after completion of the practical training in the companies where they undergo their practical training. And another most important aspect of this practical training is that it creates employability skills among the students, because whatever the knowledge you are getting from our course or the study material, appearing this executive examination or the professional program examination, so that will provide you a sound knowledge which will help you in the future. But the training will always help you to develop the employability skills, because employer requires certain skills or some task or the function to perform in the corporates. They don't require much knowledge of the professionals. So the most important which is expected by the corporates or the company in the future is about the practical skills, whether you will able to deliver in the corporates, whether you will able to perform the tasks which are required. So that will help you if you undergo a rigorous kind of training of 21 months during your student life. Then the management trainees are absorbed in the companies after completion of their training, as I have already explained to you. So these are the basic tools for acquiring the requisite skills during the practical training, where you undergo with different companies and corporates or the practicing company secretaries firm. Now let's come to the significance of practical training. Why this practical training, and what is our focus, and what does the institute expect from the trainees, and what kind of skills or the aptitude to be developed during the practical training, which are more important. So let's see, as we are talking about the significance of practical training in the life of a student during his professional endeavor as a CS professional. So first thing is the practical knowledge, because whatever you are studying from the course content or the study material, it provides you theoretical knowledge. It may talks about what are the rules, regulation, different sections of the acts and all. But you are not getting the practical knowledge out of that. But this training, practical training, will provide you the practical knowledge, hands-on experience, which will be very much useful in your future endeavor. Then you see, coming to the legal skills, which is one of the expectations or the skills of the practical training, because now if you look at the opportunities given to the company secretaries, now we are eligible, and we are now eligible to appear before the NCLT or any other regulators and the tribunals. So in that case, our company secretaries, those who are going to join the profession in future, or our budding company secretaries, they need to develop a kind of legal skills. And legal skills not only include a specific area, but it includes the drafting skills, it requires your pleading skills, the appearance skills. So all these skills which an advocate has, that our company secretary today needs to develop. And how they will develop? If they will start practicing from the day one, from their practical training, when they are joining the firm or the corporates or our PCS company secretaries, practicing company secretaries. They can start drafting the petitions, they can start drafting the affidavits, and all these drafting skills can be developed during the practical training. And this legal skills is very much essential for today's company secretaries, because without this legal aptitudes or legal bent of mind or the legal skills, one cannot be a successful company secretaries in future, in coming days. So generally we see that our students, they are very much inclined and focused towards the secretarial practice. Now the time has come, you need to think beyond the secretarial practice. So legal area, whatever the opportunity thus we have got today to be justified, if we will able to counter the advocates before the tribunals, before the NCLT or before other regulators, where we can justify the significance of our profession as a company secretary. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you to develop your legal skills during this practical training for the 21 months that you are going to join after this EDP program. It is one of the significance of this practical training. Then, dear students, as you know, this is the digital age, digital era. Without IT skills, no professionals will be successful in their future. So, this IT skills is very much essential for the professionals today, because keeping in pace of this latest technological change, we need to upgrade ourselves. We need to understand the latest, IT skills, IT technologies, which will help us to grow in our professional life, not only in the employment but also in the practice also. If we'll start your career, then this IT skills is a tool which will help you to grow in your professional life. Because now if you look at this cloud computing, then this artificial intelligence and all kind of the latest technology which are just in coming to the scenario and coming to the situation, then unless you have that command over those latest IT tools, it will be very difficult to provide service to the clients or to the stakeholders. So therefore, as a professionals, I expect that our students, those who are starting their practical training, they need to understand the importance of IT skills, and they need to understand what are the IT skills are required, so that, because now the entire practice, the entire process, entire the functions of the company secretary is online. If you look at the functioning of the MCA or ROC, all forms are online to be submitted. So there you need to understand what are the latest tools which are used for performing as a company secretary. So these IT skills are very much important for our students. Then coming to now the important area, that is about we required one of the psychology of the board of directors skills need to be developed. So your thoughts should be very clear about taking the decisions in your life in different situations. How will deal it by taking the decision, that is more important. Then problem solving. Problem will keep on coming, because problem is so that you'll get the notified that the student of that, and how to bring your this 30 new already planned to start it for the students, those who will be entering to the professions. We have not changed. Duration is like that, and within after for the second exam, for the June exam, it is in the on the 25th August. Immediately after publication of the result, the student, those who are qualifying in the executive exam, they can start their practical training. And immediately the day when you are getting the results and you come to know that you have qualified the executive program, you can start your online EDP. This online EDP is given on our LMS portal, on our e-learning. You need to execute that agreement with the company secretary in practice, who will be your trainer, and that training agreement has to be uploaded on the institute website through the Stimulate portal within the 100 days. We can issue company, or you have to undergo simultaneously after completing the second part of the training, you can start with a PCS also. But there is a procedure to shift, there is a procedure to switch over from, or there is a procedure to transfer from one trainer to another trainer, that will discuss on which ground you can get the transfer and what is the process of getting the transfer, all these things. So within this 21 months practical training, 2 times you can take the transfer. So which are the condition of the transfer? There are different grounds on which you can get this transfer from one trainer to another trainer. While taking the transfer, you can have that flexibility of transferring from one company to another company, or one company to PCS, or from one PCS to another PCS. So all the multiple entry, multiple exits are permitted to the trainees, to the students, for their convenience. As per their suitability, they can take the transfer, but the reason of transfer has to be genuine and convinced to the institute, as we have already notified in the guideline. And all this information you'll find on the website, because many times we get complaint from the students that, sir, we have already given the resignation and we have intimated my trainer, but my trainer is not issuing me NOC. So in order to get the NOC, there is a procedure, because the trainee has to follow that procedure. They have to give a notice, formal notice to the trainer, that I would like to take the transfer, or to switch over, or to make the change of my training, because I am getting some better opportunity, or some other reason maybe. There has to be a formal communication to the trainer, and within the time limit as prescribed by the institute. And within the time limit, the trainer has to provide the NOC. If they are not providing that NOC, then after 45 days, then institute has power to give you the allow you to transfer from one trainer to another trainer under certain conditions. So now let's come to discuss that about what are the grounds, on which we can take the transfer, which are very vital for the trainees to understand, because if we are going to take transfer during your 21 months training, then these grounds are required to mention on your resignation letter, or your notice, whatever you are going to give to your trainer. First reason is about the medical grounds. So on medical grounds, if there is some medical issues to the trainees, then he has got that right to transfer from one trainer to another trainer. So secondly, transfer of their parents, because our students generally they depend upon their parents. If the parents are transferred, they are doing certain jobs, they are shifting from one city to another city. So in that case also, you can take the transfer, but documentary evidence has to be given, that your transfer letter of your parents has to be given to the trainer. Misconduct involving the moral turpitude, this is also one of the reason, that if there is misconduct committed by the trainer or the trainees, their transfer is also possible. So try to avoid, because we are going to be the professional, we need to inculcate these values and ethics in our life. So we should avoid this kind of unavoidable circumstances, where this kind of misconduct situation or the scenario should not arise during your entire journey of 21 months practical training. Because as I told you, that the new regulation has already created a provision how to deal with the misconduct of the trainees, including the EDP and CLDP program. So there will be a student disciplinary committee, and that committee will take the decision by looking into the and by making a proper inquiry to the matters. So don't try to go into this disciplinary mechanism during your student life, so which will be very untoward things that happen to your life. So try to avoid it. So this is one of the reason where you can also get the transfer. Then death or disability of the trainer, and if any unfortunate incident happen with the trainer, and maybe we have seen that many of our trainer, they lose their life, maybe due to some accident or some other reason. In that case also, the trainee has right to transfer from that farm to another farm, same farm, for the trainee to resolve that matter. So for that, I need to clarify here that the students, if such situation comes, without intimating to the institute, you are starting your training with the partner of that farm, then definitely there has to be a intimation to the institute. And if it is a PCS farm, then you need to go for a fresh agreement. with effect from your date of change. So fresh agreement is required. In the absence of the fresh agreement, this training cannot be considered and apply for the transfer of training, and institute will allow you definitely in case of the marriage. And shifting of the trainer to another city, if the trainer is shifting, in many cases we find that trainer generally the senior company secretaries, they also change their farms, they also shift their farms, and they try. And what is the mode of payment? It's there should the cash payment should be avoided. The payment should be through a check or through online transfer as per the procedure or the formalities or the process of the farm or the stipend if required by the institute in future. Yes, after starting your training program, as I told you that if you are starting your training with PCS, then you have to create an 21 months training agreement, and you have to submit online to the institute. And once your training started, then there is a mechanism to evaluate your performance of the trainees through a quarterly report. In every quarter, the institute has already developed an online platform in the Stimulate itself, where you can submit the quarterly report. Earlier the procedure was different. Your seniors or your trainers, they may tell you that earlier there was a form where the trainer has to fill up that form and sign, and you used to scan it and send it by email to the institute. Institute is to accept it. So all these things are past now. Now we have come up with a online platform, and the user ID password we have already provided to all trainer. The trainer now, after completion of the 3 months, in every quarter they can submit the quarterly progress report of each and every trainees to the institute. This is an online platform. The evaluation, the assessment has to be done online only, and finally there is a submit button where the report can be submitted, and it will come to the institute automatically, and we can analyze the report. So dear students, generally don't try to avoid this quarterly report, which is very important in nature, because institute will come to know about your progress through this quarterly report, whether you are learning something from your practical training, or it is just a namesake that you are doing this formality of completing the duration of practical training to become the member of the institute. So I'll expect that in each and every quarter that student need to learn something from the trainer, because it is important to understand the concept and the skills which are very much useful in your future endeavor. So this is the process of submitting the quarterly report to the institute, because generally sometimes we find that student or the trainer, they don't submit the quarterly report, and finally we get a completion certificate, and when we check it or we correlate it with our quarterly report, in the quarterly reports we don't find, maybe 1 or 2 reports are submitted, finally the completion certificate comes. It will also create problem. Let me clarify you, unless we get all the quarterly report from the trainer, then completion will not be accepted. So I'll urge all my students that during your entire training period, we ensure that all your quarterly progress reports should timely submitted to the institute. We have given a timeline. There is a circular already in our website where we have mentioned what is the duration of submitting the quarterly report. It is now made on calendar quarter basis, from January to March, the first quarter, and the student, those who are starting their training from January to March, they have to submit their quarterly report till 30th April. 1 month time we are giving after March. So within this 30 days, you need to submit your quarterly report to the institute online. And since the user ID password lies with your trainer, we have already provided to the company and PCS. You have to remind them, sir, this is the time for submitting my quarterly report. Please, you open the portal and try to submit our quarterly progress report to the institute, to avoid unnecessary complications at the end for submitting your completion certificate of the practical training. Similarly, in every quarters, we have given 1 month extension time. For example, from April to June, you can have the time up to July, 30th July to submit the quarterly report, and in the similar manner up to December. So there will be 4 quarters in a year, and in each and every quarter, your progress report should come to the institute through this online platform Stimulate. Now, after quarterly report, one of the most important thing that we are incorporating in the new training structure, that is about your project report. Earlier, project report concept was also there. What is a project report? Project report means on which project you are working. For example, if you look at the students who do research or PhD, they submit a thesis, or during time of doing MPhil, there is a process of submitting a thesis. So your project report is similar to a kind of thesis only, where from the day one when you are starting your journey as a trainee, you need to work on specific project. We have given you a number of projects on the website. You'll find the details of project. There are different areas relating to our in the legal areas, in corporate governance, and in compliance mechanism. In various areas we have given what are the titles of different projects. So you pick up you take up area of your choice and start working on the project, and it is expected that the trainer has to guide, mentor on that project, and they should help you how to develop the project report. And we are going to assess the project report in the CLDP, in the Corporate Leadership Development Program. And my dear students, let me clarify from the beginning that so there will be a assessment, formal assessment to your project report and the practical training. In the corporate leadership, earlier also in the MSOP, we used to assess through a panel about the project submission or the best presentation and all we used to do. But in corporate leadership development program, in a residential setup, what we are going to do it, here you have to submit your project report what you have done during your practical training. Of course, one copy will come to the ICSI headquarters through our online, and at the same time the regions and chapters where the corporate leadership development programs are being organized, they will also get an access to your project report. And there will be a panel of 3 persons, 3 experts, and these 3 experts will evaluate, assess your project report, and there will be a viva. And in that vivas, you will be asked certain questions on the projects, and there will be 5-point grading systems. I'll just want to show you about the grading system that we are going to introduce in the practical training, which was not there earlier. And the new training structure, we are incorporating this 5-point grading system, that is A plus, which is about outstanding. The trainees, those who have given their sincere efforts and put their sincere effort to prepare the project nicely, and they will able to perform better, and to before the committee that constituted in the CLDP to evaluate your practical training or to assess your practical training. So there, if you perform better, best, then it will be A plus grade, and you will be treated as outstanding performer. And then we have A grade, which is stands for this very good. Then B plus is good, and B is satisfactory. And if any student is getting C grade, which needs improvement and resubmission of the project report, because many times we find that students, they don't put their proper attention for preparing the project report, and just they try to copy paste and change the content page and submit it for the sake of a formality of submitting a project report. In such case, if the expert panel find it in in such a manner where you have not put your sincere effort to create the project report, and you have not undergone the proper training during your practical training period, so then they may mark you the C grade, where you need to improve yourself. So that will create a complications for the students. So better I'll request at the beginning. So this is one of the purpose and objective, where the students are intimated about the importance of the project report and the importance of this grading system and assessment and evaluation in the practical training, which is one of the essential conditions to qualify to become the member of the institute. So this was one part. Now I would like to come to one of the important part of the practical training. Now will come the most important part of the students training period, that covers about the ethics and code of conduct for the trainees. As we have some code of conduct for our members, similarly, since you are the trainee and going to be the members, there are also certain code of conduct which are applicable to our trainees. We call it do's and don'ts for the trainees, and let's discuss what are the things that we should do during our training period while we are undergoing the training with our trainer at PCS farm or at the companies, and what are the things that we need to avoid. First, let's come to the do's for the trainees during their training period, what they are supposed to do. First thing is to maintain the high decorum in the office premises. Wherever you are getting your practical training, you need to maintain a high decorum, because you are representing the institute. The institute has issued you the sponsorship letter for undergoing this practical training, and try to keep it in your mind, you are representing the institute, so you need to maintain the decorum of the office. That is the first and foremost criteria for the trainees while undergoing the training. Then, so far as the dress and etiquettes attires are concerned, be in formal attire, because sometimes even when we visit the institute, we visit to different farms or the companies, we find our trainees working there. So during that time, we find some of the trainees are not in proper attire. So try to, as a professional and going to be a professional, you need to maintain the formal attire during your office hour, during your training period. The maintain absolute integrity all the times. Be honest in your approach, and that is more mostly required by the each and every trainer, each and every company, that the trainees, those who are working in that company, should be honest in their approach and their integrity should be certified. Follow the guidelines of the institute regarding the training. We have certain guidelines, we have certain code of conducts that is already notified in the institute website. So you need to follow the guidelines always during the entire training period, and submit the desired documents timely to the institute. As I told you that there are certain quarterly report to be submitted, or if you are getting that transfer from one trainer to another trainer, then while submitting the resignation to the your earlier trainer, you need to intimate to the institute. And similarly, after getting the NOC, well, you are taking the transfer, you also need to intimate to the institute. So the things or the document which are required to submit to the institute in time, that you have to submit. Otherwise, in the later stage, it creates some complications. Keep an open mind and try to deploy understanding to use of the theoretical knowledge whatever you have gained into the practice at the workplace, and keen to learn as much as possible. So this is an opportunity for the trainer, because in the general course, if you look at students, they don't get that opportunity to undergo a articleship training or a practical training with the companies and PCs. But being fortunate that under the CS Act itself, there is a provision of articleship training. So due to that opportunity, you are getting the facility of undergoing the practical training. So try to take the most of it and try to get the all benefit whatever the possible during this practical training. Then timely submit of the quarterly report, project report, as I have already explained to you. Inform the institute and complete the procedure as per the training guideline in case of starting the balance training. As I was talking about the submission of the NOC, if you are taking transfer and starting your remaining period of training or balance training with another trainer, then you need to submit the NOC timely to the institute. Otherwise, your completion after the finishing of the entire period will be difficult to accept. In case of any dispute or any ambiguity regarding your training, contact the institute for resolving such issues. You have to intimate formally, officially to the institute, either maybe through email or through by writing a letter, whatever it may be convenient to you. It has to be brought to the notice of the institute if there is any dispute immediately. Maintain the decent and responsible conduct behavior during the training with the trainer, and even for your colleagues also, your partners or your co-trainees, those who are undergoing training, with them also you have to behave properly, because it is all about your image, all about the image of the institute also. So you have to always keep in your mind that you are representing the ICSI there in the company. So there should not be any dispute or any kind of things that you should do in the company which will dilute the image of our ICSI. So that has to be carried in your mind always the entire period of your practical training. And very small things like using the internet of the office. Many times we find the complaint from the trainer that the trainee is always chatting throughout the day, is not concentrating in the work, and whatever the assignment given to the trainees is not completing in time. Such things should be avoided. Keep your personal things secondary. First thing is to complete the assignment which are given to you officially. That has to be do at the beginning, at the earliest. And so try to avoid this doing this personal work by using the office equipments, office internet and all. So that is one of the precautions which is required for our trainees. and maintain the confidentiality and discipline in the office. So this confidentiality clause is already there in the agreement, and if there is any violation, because sometimes we get the complaint from the trainer that he has disclosed my client's information to another persons like that. So be that office of secrecy that you need to maintain. So the office decorum you need to maintain during the entire training period. So these are some of the kind of code of conduct or ethics for our trainees, and there are certain things which you should be avoided doing all these things. That is don'ts for during the training period. Which are those don'ts? Let's discuss it. Avoid taking unnecessary leaves during the training period. Because if you are taking the leaves during the training period, institute has already given you certain prescribed leaves during the entire training period. How many leaves are applicable to you, that has been prescribed. If you are taking any more leaves beyond that prescribed limit, then definitely your training will be extended as per rule. That means your 21 months training may be 22 months, 23 months, 24 months if you are frequently taking the leaves and it is not substituted. So I'm talking about in addition to the national holidays, Sundays, all these things. If you are taking frequently leave beyond the prescribed limit, then definitely your training period will be extended. So it is my advice to all the trainees, try to avoid taking frequent leave during the training period, and don't damage or spoil any of the property of the organizations or the firm. That need to be avoided. Otherwise there may be possibility that they may deduct it from your stipend, and this stipend during your student life is very much important, which is a kind of earning while learning. So that facility is also not available for the general students. Being a professional students and you are going for a professional course, you are getting that opportunity of earning during the learning. So if you damage some of the property or equipments in the office, so the firm or the company may deduct it from your stipend. So be careful about that one. Don't try to misuse the resources of the offices. These are the general things that we have to keep in mind anywhere we are working. Maybe behavior, and how to, because what I understand in your future, which may, while coming up such thing which is long pending, guilty, then there will be one. And in addition to that, those who are doing in the practicing firm also, so you are working under a company secretary, so you know the role and functions of a company secretary. So it is pertaining to the corporate law, corporate governance, and the board, and conducting the board and shareholders meetings, and of a company secretary. So it is pertaining to the corporate law, corporate governance, and the board, and conducting the board and shareholders meetings. And so these are the area of work where the trainer may expect from you to contribute or to assist him. Suppose there is a board meeting, so there is a pressure on the company secretary to prepare the agenda, to send the notice, and in that process you are required to assist the company secretary in their day-to-day work or in their particular specific functioning. So that is expected from the trainees. Then corporate compliance management, which is one of the important function of our secretarial department in the company. So in the compliance management system, you need to involve and to understand what are the MIS that we need to maintain, and what are the schedule where we need to make the compliances of different laws, corporate laws. So that checklist you need to prepare and keep with you. And if the trainer is forgetting, sometimes you need to remind the trainers, this is the time where we need to go for this type of compliance, we need to file the form. So these kind of initiatives which definitely help you to get the better performance as a trainee, and the trainer may give you a good report about you, which may help in future to be acknowledged by the institute. Then other areas like the stakeholder relationship, IPO, ADR, GDR, then capital market, stock exchange, listing agreement, merger and amalgamations, insider trading and takeovers, representations, arbitration and reconciliations, direct indirect taxes, investor education and protections. So these are the area where generally the company secretary perform, or company secretary work. So whatever the work done by the firm or the corporate, so in that area you need to contribute and assist to the trainer. And in addition to that, assisting the trainer in providing the preparing the notice, agenda, preparing the minutes of the board meeting or the AGM meeting, that is also expected from the trainee. Then maintaining the statutory books and including the registers of the members, directors, and secretaries, that also you need to maintain if required or if it is given by the trainer to you. And dealing with correspondence, collating informations and writing reports, ensuring decisions made are communicated to the relevant stakeholders, that you need to ensure as a trainee. Then contributing to the meeting if required. If you are given an opportunity to participate in any committee meeting or any other meeting, then you need to understand that how to behave and how to what are the things to be the way that we have to present the things, and what are the things that we need not to be disclosed, and what is to be disclosed, that you need to understand. So that is a technique that the trainees are required to understand while they are given an opportunity to attend any kind of meeting, maybe with the regulators or maybe with the stakeholders or maybe with the board of directors if possible. So these techniques that trainees need to understand and learn during the entertaining period. Then even sometimes you may be asked to communicate with the regulators, advisors, lawyers, auditors. So how to communicate, what are the etiquettes to be followed while making a communication to the regulators or the auditors or other stakeholders, that also you need to understand and learn from your seniors or from your trainers. Preparation and maintenance of the secretarial record of compliances, that is also one of the role of the trainees to perform. And preparing that attendance sheet, then director's report, notice for the meeting, and including the how to prepare the certain notice, and all these things you need to learn during the practical training, which will help you definitely during your professional career in future. Minutes of the board meeting and AGM, how to preserve it and how to keep it in the proper shape, and what is the procedure to be maintained for keeping or minutizing the meetings of the board and the AGM, that you need to understand and learn from the trainer. Help in different this balance sheet, or I have nothing to do with these accounts and all. So because if you involve, because this is one of the area where our company secretary also need to improve that and accounts and taxation. So if you are getting an opportunity, take it positively and try to perform and learn something there. So when we talk about the duties, there are certain responsibility of the trainees also. So what are the responsibility? A CS trainee is expected to have knowledge of the corporate governance and the legal practice, ethics, best management practices, and the wealth creation management and the foresight of the company. So the company where you are working, if somebody will ask you what is about that company, what is the function of that company, so you need to understand, study, make proper study about the company, how it function, and what are the rules, what are the laws which are applicable to that particular company. If it is a pharmaceutical company, or if it is a textile company, or it is a company relating to the environment laws and all, so which are the laws applicable to those companies, and how to make this compliance management, all these things you need to understand. So that is also a responsibility of the trainees, that to learn from the trainer. A CS trainee has to represent a company along with the company secretary to the internal and external stakeholder. So he is expected to coordinate the management functions of the company and policies. So because you are just working as an article to the company secretary or your trainer, so as much as possible you try to learn and cooperate and to assist your company secretary, so that you'll get more opportunity to learn and contribute. To keep an eye on the ethics and the mutual trust and help in strategic decision making, aligning the company towards excellence. So though you are also a trainee for a certain period of time and you are working as a temporarily there, but it is also your commitment, it is also your responsibility to see the interest of the company, that the interest should be protected and the company should grow. That is one of the responsibility of the trainees working in the company. He is expected to be multifaceted and one who would execute day-to-day activities and encompassing all the key areas of the corporate governance. It may happen sometimes that you are there and your company secretary under whom you are working or you are getting the training, he may switch over or he may shift to another company, and till you get an opportunity to leave or get a better opportunity to join. So it may be your responsibility, if there is any compliance is required to be done, so you need to take up the things with the officers present there or the managers, senior managers present there, and try to perform that duty as assigned to you. So these are the responsibility of the trainees that which are required to be done during your training period. And assisting the trainer in the legal, financial, and other strategic functions during and outside the meeting. Assisting the trainer, ensuring that the policies are up to date and are approved, and providing support to the trainer for organizing the meeting of the board and other committees, assisting the trainer in implementing the process and system to help to ensure good management of the organizations or the compliance with the legislation. So that is also one of the key areas where you need to develop and groom yourself for good management of the organizations or the compliance with the legislation. A legal entity if required, then all kind of drafting of the letters, drafting of the petitions, and drafting of any kind of agenda, mini long-term practical training, or where the stakeholders are institute the subject department. Then capability to unless you build a team, then it's very difficult to perform. And teamwork, be in a team, because then your managerial skills, your management skills, which is more important in the office, and teamwork, be in a team, because together we can win. That always we talk. So unless you build a team, then it's very difficult to perform. So as a single or a individual, you cannot perform, or you cannot achieve the target. So if it is a team, then it will be easier, because you can contribute each other, learn each other, and proceed and grow each other. So that is the that one of the basic principles that you can follow, not only during your training period, even you are joining the profession, joining any company, big corporate, then you need to understand this teamwork, which is very important in each and every individual's life. Integrity and discretion when handling the confidential information. I have already discussed it about the integrity part. So you need to maintain it all the time while working in the office, which is expected from a professional, which we talks about our ethics, governance, values, and all. So a sound grasp of the corporate governance issues, that is the basic things that we need to understand, and need to understand about the revenue generation model of the company, because sometimes we react, we agitate if there is any delay of getting the stipend, or if there is some benefit are not given in time, because you need to understand and correlate with the finance or the revenue generation model of the company where you are working, or the pieces farm where you are working. So be patient, and for a silly things, you should not create such a situation where you may require to leave that organization and to change that organizations. So have patience and deal the situation properly, which is required from the trainees. And though you are working as a trainee, but future you will be a professional, so you need to develop some administrative skills within yourself, and an aptitude towards adapting the latest information technology skills, which is also very much important for our trainee to understand during the training period. And one more important skills which is expected from our trainees is about the negotiation skills. In our professional endeavor, the CS as a profession, if you look at, then you need to have that negotiation skills, because you'll be dealing with the clients, you'll be dealing with the stakeholders, you'll be dealing with the regulators. So you need to understand and develop the negotiation skills. And the best thing for the negotiation is to have the patience and not to quit, not to leave. So unless you reach to your target, suppose before negotiation you have a certain target in your mind, unless you achieve it, you keep on negotiating. But there is an approach to negotiate, there is an approach to behave while negotiating with anybody. There should be a proper level of decency to be maintained with patience, so that you will achieve the target or the goal whatever is set for that negotiation. So that skill you need to develop within yourself as a trainee. Time management, it is a common thing for each and every individuals, irrespective of a professional or a trainee or a regulator or an officer, manager, whoever it may be. This time management is very important. So there will be multiple of tasks within that time approach. It means these things, and taking to take new work, new assignment. Be flexible and practical approach to. These are the things which sometimes required to adopt as a professionals. So I'll not give much importance to it, but I think whatever the skills or the values that we discuss, that will definitely help you to be a successful trainee in your practical training. And now coming to one of the important area, where the trainee trainer relationship, because you are going to spend one of the important phase of your life, that almost 2 years with the companies or the PCS during the training period, and that is one of the most important phase of your life. So how should you have a trainee trainer relationship? It is from both mutually. So mutual respect and understanding. understanding will help you to work for a long period of time. So something, it is based on relation is always give and take. You need to sacrifice something, trainer need to give you something, so that a mutual understanding can be developed between your trainer and yourself, which may create a healthy atmosphere during the training. Cordial relationship, I've already explained that how you need to behave yourself in the company and in the firm. Then mentor and learner. There is a concept of guru in our philosophy of life. If you look at our culture in India, then guru sisya parampara that we adopt. So your trainer is your guru, your trainer is your mentor, he's your guide, he's your philosopher. So you need to accept it, because those who have accepted it and today they are successful, and they say proudly that I was a trainee of such and such firm, I was a trainee of such and such company. Why they say it? Now, because due to this, their gurus or their trainer or their mentor, those who have guided them to be start to put the first feet on the way of the professional endeavor. So that is more important. You need to accept your trainer as your guru or your guide. So that is the mentor and learner relationship. Then learning opportunities. See, opportunities are not demanded. Opportunity comes automatically, and you need to understand how to grab that opportunities, because opportunity comes and opportunity goes. But the intelligent persons are those who want to understand it, visualize it, and try to make use of it. Then they are successful. So try to get that opportunities and turn into action and reflect it, so that you'll be successful in your life. And one more important concept is the lifelong learner. Try to be a lifelong learner, because learning should not end. Because in our profession like company secretaries, it's very flexible and dynamic. Unless you update yourself, unless you upgrade yourself, then one cannot sustain in the market. So that's why the institute has also having that professional development program for even our members. The senior to senior members are also undergoing the professional development program, where they get the updated knowledge, because these laws are very flexible, dynamic, and it's frequently being changed in the country. So unless you update yourself, then you'll be no stand no here. So you need to be a lifelong learner to become a successful professional. And most important thing is learning to learn. Because sometimes we say that what to learn, how to learn, when to learn. But if you look at the Delos theorem, then learning to learn is more important than everything. You must understand how to learn. So that is called one of the key success mantra, which you can adapt in your life to become a successful trainer. Now I'm coming to the last part of my presentation, that is about the types of various entities eligible for imparting training. Because immediately after completion of EDP, you may search for getting the trainer or the companies or the PCS firm where you'll start your training. So which are the entities which are eligible for imparting training to our students? Let me explain you, though it is there in our website notified, but still you must keep in your mind that you can have your training from a company, but that company should be registered with the institute. There is a procedure of registration, and which are the company who can register. Even if the company is not registered and you have selected that company to undergo training, first ensure that whether that company is registered or not. If it is not registered, you ask the management to get it registered with the institute. But in order to get that company registered with the institute, there are certain conditions. The paid up of capital of the company should be 50 lakhs or above, or they should be complying the rule 8A. And now we are giving registration to the company where there is a whole-time company secretary. Otherwise, our trainee will work there and they cannot learn anything if there is not a company secretary. There is no meaning of working in other departments if there is no company secretary or secretarial department like that. So we ensure that wherever you are joining, there is a company secretary where you can learn something. So you can start your training from the company. Then MCA and its allied offices and other government bodies, which are also where you can start your practical training. So ROC offices, RD offices, and office of the official liquidators, and different government departments, public sector undertakings, statutory bodies, you can also undergo training there. LLP, we have certain conditions. We have revised the conditions in the LLP. There are certain LLP which are already registered with the institute. There you can start, because now earlier there was some confusion that students, they start their training and they don't send the documents to the institute. After 2-3 months, when they send it, we came to know that the company or the LLP is not registered with the institute. So your entire period of, because institute cannot consider it retrospectively, then your 2-3 months training or 5 months training, whatever you are doing, that will go useless. So be ensured that where you are starting your training, that is registered with the institute. Now we have already enabled it in our Stimulate portal, because you need to select the trainer from the drop down menu. You need to search the company which are already registered with the institute on the Stimulate portal. So that problem can be captured or avoided or by doing so. But still, you be ensured that company is registered with the institute. Then you can start your training in the banks also, or any other financial institutions. If it is a financial institution, that the gross fixed assets should be minimum 10 lakhs and above. and having at least standing of 10 years duration. So these are the financial institutions which are eligible to impart training to our students. And and finally, the practicing company secretary, where most of our students are undergoing that training. And as you know, that in practice also we have got huge opportunities nowadays. After having the opportunity of the secretarial audit, then appearing before the NCLT, then your IPR and GST, and so many, then insolvency, then RBO related work. So now the opportunity for a practicing secretary is is enormous, and you can learn a lot of things from the practicing company secretaries also. And but ensure that where you are doing your registration, you must be having a valid COP. So, and there is no concept of having the registration of firm, a company secretary firm. It is always individual based on the COP holder. So your trainer has to be individual as a COP holder to have an agreement with you. We cannot make an agreement with the firm where there are 4 or 5 company secretaries are there. So it is not like that. It is to be, till today it is about the individual company secretary only having the COP. Now coming to the final stage, which is one of the more important with respect to your training, that is training clearance certificate, that is TCC. So this is also recently has been developed and introduced. What is TCC, training clearance certificate? There is difference between training completion certificate and training clearance certificate. Remember, training clearance certificate is given by Directorate of Training after completion of all kind of training. You will complete EDP, you will get a completion certificate of EDP. You will complete 21 months practical training, you will get a completion certificate of practical training. You will complete CLDP, you will get a completion certificate of CLDP. That does not mean that training clearance certificate. What is training clearance certificate? Training clearance certificate is a certificate which is issued by the Directorate of Training and stating that what are the different kind of training you have undergone during the entire period of your studentship from day 1 to end to become eligible for applying for the ACS membership. To become the ACS member, there are 2 things required. One is your professional qualification, professional certificate, and another is training clearance certificate from the Directorate of Training. So with both this document and with some other date of birth and all documents, you can apply for the membership online. But unless you get the training clearance certificate, you cannot apply for this membership. Okay, so this TCC, training clearance certificate, is very important. That will be enabled and you can access it that also through online. After completion of the all training program, you need to apply online for TCC. Then the Directorate of Training, they will see that you have undergone all kind of training as per the regulation and the act which are applicable to you as per your training structure. Then finally will issue a training clearance certificate TCC, which is just reflecting the entire kind of training venue, time, everything, certifying that you have cleared all kind of training which are required to become a associate member of the institute as per the regulation 46 AB and BA. So that is called training clearance certificate. And finally, I'll get it then before getting the membership. So thank you very much, dear students. So these are just informative to all our trainees, because in the induction program, before you start your practical training, I think these principles or the rules, regulations or the guidelines of the institute to be followed. And otherwise what happens, unless it unnecessarily it creates complications at the last page of your training where your membership get delayed. So if you follow the principle, if you follow the guideline and whatever we explained today and what is there on the website, rules, guidelines, if you follow, then your training will be completed smoothly in time and it will help you to become a successful professional by applying the membership. So wish you all the best for your endeavor and congratulations for completing this executive examination recently and be in the new training structure of the institute which are being introduced recently. And we hope that with the kind of training structure that you are undergoing, one day you will be definitely contribute to the profession by becoming a successful professional in your future. So wish you all the best. Thank you very much.